Hey guys, it's Crossroads. I wanted to talk to you today about SoFi. Namely, not so much the earnings, but why in the world does a stock keep falling on earnings reports? Well, first, to understand this, let's talk very, very briefly about earnings. The earnings quarter was absolutely fabulous. It's, I would say, the best quarter for SoFi since I've been an earnings investor. Of course, there's huge beats across the top and bottom line. EPS was 5 cents and 4 cents was expected. They showed 30% year over year revenue growth, coming in at 689 million in revenue, $61 million in net income, and about 750 million new members, not million, thousand new members. Million would be really exciting. But knowing those numbers and seeing expectations, this is a phenomenal beat. So why in the world did the stock fall? Well, Anthony Noda went on an interview today, and his theory was that SoFi ran up 40%, and so there's naturally going to be some profit taking, and that makes good logical sense. But I think there's something more going on, and to understand this, we need to take a look at a chart. So let's pull up Robinhood Legend. And here we are looking at the chart of SoFi. And if you notice here on the chart, you'll see a number of different peaks. Now, all except for one of these peaks are from a certain event. And of course, with the theme of this being earnings, let's show these drawings. And we can see the quarterly earnings. You can see time and time again as earnings hits, the stock pops and it normally runs on the way up and then it sells off. Now, there are a few times when it peaks and it drops down. This is one where, of course, the senior convertible notes were offered. But basically, what's happening is a pattern. I began following SoFi closely, I think a quarter before this one, but I noticed that. I actually bought in shortly after quarter one of 2023, there in late May, I think just after May, sometime around then. And so I've been holding for about a year and a half. And if it's green here in this chart, I put that as a green because it was beating. Red is the only time it didn't beat. That is basically SoFi's own doing. They basically took a technical hit. They didn't lose anything, but that's the one time that broke the pattern. But you can see the rest of these, like quarter four, man, this massive run up from the low fours, all the way to over 8. So over 100% run up, and then it dropped back down. Quarter one, well, we see that it popped up some and went up to 6 and some change, went back down into the 4s. And then that's where I bought in pretty heavily from my initial SoFi position. Of course, we saw this great run up into quarter two, this nice pop, and then the stock just absolutely melted down, continued to do that. Some of that was, some of SoFi's undoing. They needed to realize a loss basically in the balance sheet in advance just so that they were and would be profitable, and they are profitable over the year. Again, in quarter four, quarter one, quarter two, and even today in quarter three earnings. So basically, we need to understand that this isn't stocks don't just move purely because of numbers. If it was, and that was all that there was to it, then math would be all that we would really need, and we would be able to just use algorithms to be able to invest. Now, algorithms do a great job of trading, and they can do it a lot better and faster than humans, but they're not particularly good at capturing narratives and understanding what's happening with the stock as far as the story itself, but they're great with the numbers. Now, the psychology here, I just showed you this chart. And let's see, we looked at 8 quarters. There was one exception, the one quarter where SoFi did not beat and do a triple beat. So knowing this, if you remember this for quarter four, what will you be thinking? Well, probably you'll be thinking, hey, there's a very good chance that we're going to see this same rise into earnings, triple beat, and then a sell-off. And eventually we'll break out of this pattern, but you may be right. Now, at a certain point, this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more people that know this, realize this, they take action based on it. And so I expect that today, as SoFi showed this phenomenal beat and we're riding up, the moment that top started coming off, and we'll look at the chart here in just a moment, the volume began to increase. Actually, let me just go ahead and show that here. We will share. So you can see volume down here below, and these numbers right here indicate volume. You can see when the market actually opened, the initial pop was amazing. We actually almost touched $12, and then we just fell off and down into the 9s. Didn't get as far as I thought that we would, but that's part of that is that we saw a phenomenal beat. And of course, we rose all the way through the day. We're a little bit up after hours, looks like about 17 cents up in the overnight market on Robinhood. This is Robinhood Legend, by the way. And yeah, I think that there's certainly some profit taking, like Anthony noted mentioned. But the other factor is, I think that there was folks that were thinking like, "Hey, SoFi has done this pattern time and time again. If it starts tanking again, I need to capture some of these profits." Now, the great thing is you can see the volume really spikes right here. And so obviously there were some buyers that were ready to step in and say, "Hey, this sell off is silly. I want more SoFi." And so they bought it up. Now, what will SoFi do here? It's hard to say where SoFi is going in the near term, but they have a phenomenal outperformance. This is a stocks that about a month ago I predicted on X that I said out of every single stock that I have in my portfolio, and I have less than 10, and every stock that's on my watch list, and I have several different watch lists, about 50 stocks in total that I kind of keep tabs on. I think SoFi is poised rather to do the greatest run between about a month ago all the way through the end of next year. They have phenomenal tailwinds. We've seen a bit of that this quarter, although I won't go into the earnings here. And yet, nevertheless, this pattern continues. And we may see this next quarter and the quarter after that. But at some point, it's going to be different. Now, when that is, it's hard to say, especially given the outperformance of this. But long-term shareholders, even though it's doing this time and time again, we're still up on the year. If you zoom out on the chart, let's look at year to date here. And it is a little bit slow just because my computer is kind of older, but we can see that we've risen here quite a bit from the sevens all the way up to right now in the after-hour market, we're at 1064. So not bad, especially considering we were trading in this range for most of the year. So even though this pattern is happening and holding up, it's ultimately just one day earnings results. Even if they're phenomenal, the stock price can do anything. That's why I don't bet on them. But just keep in mind that this is more than just about numbers. It's about psychology. Stocks have a memory, and people have a memory as it relates to stock. Stocks have a personality just like people, and people have come to expect this with SoFi. It again won't always be true, but for right now, that pattern holds. And so can't wait to see what happens over the next quarter as they continue to accelerate guidance greatly and as tailwinds continue to increase for this company that's going places. But we might have another couple of quarters like this. Only time will tell. Let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in, commenting, and subscribing. Have a great day.